I'd like to read a verse to you that I think many pastors and church leaders have used to browbeat victims of marital abuse. It's found in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 13 through 15. The woman which hath an husband that believeth not, if he be content to dwell with her, let her not forsake him. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not in subjection or obligation in such things. So often, counselors, church counselors, maybe even secular counselors, I don't know, but they will tell a woman in an abusive marriage where the husband consistently tortures her that, listen, sweetie, if he's content to dwell with you, you need to stick it out. The only legal grounds you have for divorcing him is if he cheats or if he decides to leave you. And if he leaves you, then you can let him go, and you're not under obligation to him. And when I hear that, I always wonder, what is this not a covenant? Is marriage not a covenant relationship? Where two parties swear before God, under God, to love each other, to be kind to each other, and take care of each other. When you hurt your covenant partner, you broke it. There's no covenant left. But anyway, this is the grounds, though, that so many church leaders use. Yeah, I know the guy's hurting you. I know your husband is hurting you. He has childhood issues of his own he's working through. Let's work with him. He hates himself.
He just needs Jesus.
He needs Jesus, and you, good woman, are the only Jesus this man may ever see. That's a crock. Let me address that one, because I bet some of you have heard that one. My own wife heard that one.
And not for him.
No, it wasn't me. It was her ex.
Yes.
He was an abuser. I won't go there, but in Romans 1, you can read where God's Spirit himself revealed himself to every man in their inner being, and they rejected him. The wicked I'm talking about. So that's a crock. That's quite a burden to place upon a wife. That's quite a burden. It's burdensome enough trying to raise a family, and in today's society, as it was in my wife's condition, she has to raise a family and work, get a job just to make ends meet, just to survive. So on top of all the normal, worldly, natural burdens, let's put that one on her as well. You might be, it's up to you whether, basically they're telling this woman, it's up to you whether or not this guy goes to hell or not. If he goes, this is what I hear at least, if you divorce him and he goes to hell, is that what you heard?
Yeah. Yeah. Pastor Daddy.
So that's great. This guy's torturing a woman, yet it's on the woman to save his soul. Sick. That's sick. Let me put my spin on this verse. That if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. But if he wants to stay with her, let him stay. That word depart, let's focus on that. Depart. You know one meaning of the word depart is? To abandon. And that monster might still be living under the same roof with his slave wife, with his target. But he abandoned her a long time ago. The first time he laid a hand on her, he departed. Does that make sense? No, he's still living with her. Well, maybe in the natural, but he abandoned her spiritually the first time he laid a hand on her. Maybe not with a fist, maybe with his tongue. The first time he broke covenant with her, he abandoned her. He departed. And with that meaning of the word, with that interpretation, and I do think that's the more accurate interpretation. The Bible's a spiritual book, right? Yeshua said, my words are not flesh. He said, my words are spirit. Spiritual words. In the spirit, that man, that abusive husband, departed the first time he broke covenant. He abandoned her. He withdrew from her. I wrote this down. He departed from the maintenance, practice, and performance of marital rights and obligations when he abused her. He withdrew and abandoned the obligation to protect, support, and love his spouse. Oh, his physical body, his stomach, and his other parts might still be sleeping next to her. But he, the true man, the inward man, the real man, left. And you know what? He not only left her, he left God in most cases, many years before he even met the woman. He was a dead man even then. You're not obligated to him, my dear sister. You're not obligated to an abusive, wicked man. You know who you're obligated to even above your husband? That's the Most High God. You're obligated to a holy God. We don't think much about God's holiness either anymore. We don't understand. None of us do. how incompatible holiness is with wickedness. When wickedness gets in the presence of holiness, wickedness is consumed by holiness. They're not compatible. Marriage, I thought, was a holy thing. I don't think it is. It is a holy thing. It's established by God at the very beginning. Adam and Eve, he established it. You're not obligated to that monster. You're obligated to God. And yesterday I did a lesson in 2 Corinthians 6. It says, you are not to be unequally yoked to a wicked man. That's your obligation. Not to the man, to your God. He's telling you to sever the relationship with the wicked man. Not maintain it. How have we gotten to this place? I don't know. I mean, my God, the world must laugh at us. They know better. They do. Most people in the world who hate religion and hate God and hate Christians, they at least have sense enough to know if I make the mistake of being hooked up with an abuser, I need to get the heck out. I need to protect myself, not so in church. In fact, I read it. I did a video on this a few weeks ago. I actually found article after article stating that self-preservation is a sin. Oh my. Anyway, you're not under obligation to that man. Let me tell you something else about that abusive husband. He's a twice dead man. That's what I was going to title this lesson. I don't know if I will or not. Twice dead man. Sounds yucky, doesn't it? I'm quoting Jude. Jude 12. The wicked are clouds without water, swept along by the winds, trees without fruit at the gathering time, twice dead, lifeless, plucked up by the roots. That's the abusive husband. He's a dead man, spiritually dead. Anyone who would hurt his wife is dead inside, my brother and sister. They're dead. And you're supposed to stay hooked in a holy matrimony with a dead man? Really? Well, Romans 7:3 says, if a woman's husband dies, I'm reading it now, if a woman's husband dies, the marriage law no longer is binding. That's straight out of the book. Makes sense. If you have a dead husband, you have a dead marriage. That's why I keep saying you're a widow. It's because you are. I'll give you another one. 1 Timothy 5:6. The person who lives in pleasure and self-gratification. Now here's the key phrase. Giving himself or herself up, or abandoning themselves to luxury and self-indulgence is dead even while he or she still lives. Your church may not recognize that man as being twice dead. The state certainly won't. Most of your friends won't. Most people, I'm included in that as well, but at least I try, but most people are spiritually dense. They're not going to see it. They're going to judge by appearance. Your church, most churches, not all, thank God there are a few good ones, but many of them are not so good. They're going to judge by appearance, not spirit. Your families, most of them aren't going to see it. But it's really not their business anyway. You got married under God. That's between you, that man, and God. Forget what anyone else says. I want to know what the book says, man. And I just shared with you what the book says. You can believe it or not. The man who abandoned himself to his appetites. Again, I refer you to Romans 1. That's the last half of that chapter. Is the most thorough exposition I have found on what it means when a wicked man has abandoned himself. When a man abandons himself to wickedness, God abandons him. Now that's twice dead. You want to know what twice dead is? That's it. It says here the person who abandons themselves is dead. A dead man means that the marriage law, I'm just reading Romans 7:3, please look it up. The marriage law no longer is binding. That's a nice way of saying you don't got a marriage. That piece of paper, that ring, it's nothing. Empty symbolism. It's nothing. A death certificate would be more truthful than the marriage certificate. I want to read this to you. I got this from John Gill's exposition of the Bible under 1 Timothy 5:6, the verse that says that a person who has abandoned himself to pleasure is dead even while they still live. A person can be dead while they live. Dead morally or spiritually while they live a natural or corporeal life. Death defaces and deforms the man. It defaces the image of God resident in the spirit of a man. Death strips a man naked of all rights. That includes marital rights. He has become dead in law as well as dead in sin. The dead man can do nothing of nor for himself, much less others in matters of a spiritual nature. Marriage. As dead men are unprofitable unto others, so are they to God and man. Empty clouds, empty trees, no fruit, no water, nothing of value. As dead men are hurtful and infectious to others, so they, by their evil lifestyle, corrupt good manners. As dead bodies are nauseous and disagreeable, so are such persons, especially to a pure and holy God. And I love this, and it is true. I did a little research into this, a little, but it is a common saying among the ancient Jewish writers, the wicked while alive are said to be dead. And it's true, there's an entire list of writings from the ancients who quoted this. I don't know where it originated. My guess would be the Talmud. I'm not sure. But the wicked, while alive, are said to be dead. You need to apply that to your abusive husband. Now, if you're still seeking counseling with a pastor or anyone else, bear that in mind, that if your husband is wicked, he's dead. As they're counseling you, keep that in mind, that the guy they're talking about and making apologies for in the mind of Hashem is dead, twice dead. Just keep that in the back of your mind. They're talking about a dead man. I know I sound angry. I'm in a bad mood today anyway. I don't know why. You guys ever wake up like that? I'm sure you do. Mad at the world. So forgive me if I am coming across that way a little bit. I'm not mad. I don't mean to be. I do get worked up talking about this, though. I am so sick of these false doctrines that enslave these victims, these poor women. A lot of pastors' wives get abused. I know that. A lot of church leaders' wives get abused by these animals, posing as men of the cloth. What a mess. I feel bad for their congregations, too, being pastored by a dead man, being pastored by a twice dead man. Not good. Do you have anything to add? Do you think I covered it enough for now? Okay. All right. Thank you guys. Thanks for putting up with my mood.